Hey, MCE crew, we are in uncharted territory, economically speaking. Now, that part of the economic policy controlled by the Fed, monetary policy, we're in totally uncharted territory. They don't know whether they're going or coming. We're faced with inflation. I don't need to tell you that because you go out to the grocery store, you go to the gas pump, you see it every single day. You know that inflation is here and it's rampant. Now, if we trust shadow stats, they're saying it's about at 15% if you include food and inflation, which the media does not report that number. Now, in all fairness, the government does publish a number that includes food and energy, but the media finds it more expedient to report the number that does not include those metrics most of the time. Exhausted. If I had to describe market participants right now, I'd use the word exhausted. A few weeks ago, it might have been shell-shocked. A few weeks before that, I might have dared to use the word optimistic or fearful. Weird that both words come to mind. But right now, exhausted is about the best description I can come up with for most people in markets. Now, of course, we're talking about the equity markets, the stock markets. Friday did little to make people more comfortable as we rose on the open, sold off in the afternoon, only to rally strongly into the close. Now, Friday was indicative of the confusion that's out there. The markets don't know which way to go. The Fed's raising rates and inflation's still roaring. We're halfway into a recession, technically defined as 2 consecutive quarters of negative GDP growth. We'll get the next number in July to see if we are currently in a recession. So there's a lot of speculation out there as to whether or not the Fed is going to stop tightening monetary policy. And what that means is, are they going to stop raising rates? There's in some quarters, they believe that they're going to stop raising rates this year, that they're not going to continue it because they're spooked by what's happening with the markets. Now, I know this presents some confusion for a lot of people in terms of how to invest. Bottom line is this: you have to stay whatever course you're on, stay that course. If you're some sort of trader that's in and out of markets, high intensity, high velocity, okay, that's one thing. I'm not talking to those guys because I don't trade. But if you have developed a strategy that is incumbent on high-performing companies, solid companies, maybe blue-chip companies, or even growth stocks, okay? Continue to evaluate the fundamentals and make sure that those companies are still viable in terms of what they do, like Palantir, for example. There's no secret. I invest in Palantir. They've been hit hard, okay? But they had their quarterly report just a few weeks ago, and the fundamentals of the company are still strong. So I'm still comfortable with the stock. Unless, if you can take the tack that, all right, this is the end of the world. We've got monkeypox. We've got runaway inflation. We got all these challenges. If you look back in history, we may have not faced the exact circumstances that we're facing now, but there have been times in history where, you turn around and you say, this is it. Even if it is it, what are you going to need with money if, I don't know, a rogue black hole comes through the solar system and devours the earth? You won't need your money anyway, right? So I'm not telling you what you need to do. I'm just saying I'm letting it ride. I'm not locking in losses. This thing will turn around. Now, the reason I'm not telling you what to do is because you more than likely are a different age than me, okay? So if you're younger, maybe you can incur more risk. If you're older, maybe you should be incurring a whole lot less risk, So that's why we don't give advice. I just tell you what I think, and then you can research it at your leisure. Now, something else is going on out there with regard to diesel fuel. The White House, Mulls tapping the emergency diesel stockpile to address East Coast crisis. This is not the way to fix this, but I do not expect the people in the White House to really understand this. They're two-dimensional thinkers. They play checkers. They don't play chess. They don't understand that we're not at the point technologically where we can run the entire country off of some magical form of energy. They don't understand that we do get the majority of our electricity from fossil fuels, natural gas, coal. Okay, I even include nuclear power in fossil fuels because we get it from uranium by and large. And so that has to be mined. Okay. The East Coast of the U.S. has some of the lowest seasonal diesel inventories on record. Retail diesel prices at the pump from the Washington-Baltimore metropolitan area to New York City are well over $6 a gallon. My brother drives for a contractor. He's Amazon contractor. And he said he's seeing $7 a gallon up in New Jersey for diesel. He drives a natural gas-powered tractor trailer, so he doesn't have to be exposed to diesel, but he's in the minority with the type of truck that he drives. Okay, most trucks out there are powered by diesel. Most of the trucks bringing you your merchandise that you're paying an inflated price for because of the increased diesel prices. Most of those trucks obviously operate on diesel. That $6 a gallon is a record high. Major trucking companies warn drivers of imminent shortages as the summer driving season begins later this week. Okay. Now, gas usually goes up a little bit in the summertime anyway. Looks like it's going to be going up even further. And we did the video last week about John Catsimatidis saying that we may even see rationing of diesel fuel. And if we see that, we're really going to be in a tight spot. Because remember, most of the equipment on farms most of that equipment is diesel powered. So if we see rationing, then that could exacerbate the food shortages, make them a lot worse than what we're experiencing. Now the Biden administration is scrambling and has proposed an emergency action to drain a critical stockpile to mitigate the massive supply crunch. The other thing the Biden administration needs to understand is that if we drill domestically, we add to the world's supply of oil, and then we relieve these pressures and we'll be able to bring that price down. And when we bring the price of energy down, we'll also bring down the price of food and other necessary items that are transported, okay, using this diesel fuel. A senior White House official told CNN that President Biden could soon release diesel from the Northeast Home Heating Oil Reserve to arrest record high prices for diesel across the Mid-Atlantic and Northeast regions. All right, so he's robbing Peter to pay Paul. He is taking one aspect of our energy independence, or not even an aspect of independence really, but a reserve stockpile used to heat homes in the cold weather periods. And remember, the United States of America is a big place. Just because it's 80 degrees where you live doesn't mean that it is not a whole hell of a lot cooler in other parts of the country. The senior official said President Biden is prepared to authorize the release if conditions deteriorate, adding the supply crunch has stabilized in recent days. So we shall see if they decide to go ahead and do that. Let's dig a little bit deeper into this because I do want you to understand every aspect of this diesel fuel shortage, since it is integral to almost everything you purchase product-wise. The system is definitely under strain, the senior White House official said. Tight fuel supplies are due to many factors. Two major ones are declining refinery capacity. And that's true, and that's dangerous because we don't want to be in a position like Iran. Iran produces a lot of oil, but they don't have refining capacity. So even though this country is producing a lot of oil, they have a pretty expensive price per gallon, or price per liter, I guess they're using. So declining refinery capacity and increased fuel shipments to Europe. So again, oil is a global market. All those derivatives, those fuels, those chemicals that come out of oil, global market. And he forgot a third one, the fact that the Biden administration has basically shut off our capacity to drill domestically and be energy efficient. CNN, otherwise known as the Clown News Network, notes, quote, the release would be limited by the relatively small size of the reserve, which only contains 1 million barrels of diesel. equal to about a day's worth of supply in the Northeast, in the East Coast, Eastern Seaboard region between Baltimore and New York. A day's worth. It's small potatoes. It might buy a couple of weeks or even months, but it doesn't solve the underlying issues. Andy Lipow, president of Lipow Oil Associates, said major trucking firms have prepared drivers for diesel shortages in the Northeast. Also, refinery and fuel station owner John Catsimatidis, we talked about him earlier and in the video last week, warned I would not be surprised to see diesel being rationed on the East Coast this summer. As of Monday morning, retail prices in New York stood at about $6.51, a record high, and doubling the price from a year ago. So we've gone up. Now, I want to put something up on the screen right now, show you how prices don't come down. Okay, this is the Consumer Price Index from 1950 through recent history. And as you can see, that trajectory has not reversed, okay, precipitously and in a sustained fashion. Prices go up. They don't come down. So even if inflation abates, we're never going to be in a position where the prices go back to where we wanted them to be, okay, where we experienced them being, let's say 2019, okay, and before that. Now, fuel does fluctuate in price, but again, the trajectory of it is up. When I started driving, fuel was about, gasoline was about $1 per gallon, okay? Yes, I just dated myself. The East Coast diesel shortage appears dire if the Biden administration has to propose a plan to drain another strategic stockpile. So far, the release of 1 million barrels of crude per day from the Strategic Petroleum Reserve has yet to arrest West Texas crude prices. Record high fuel prices hampered Biden's approval rating. That ain't the only thing hampering Biden's approval rating. He can't form a sentence. No one's confident in his ability to lead the country out of the financial issues that we're experiencing, let alone beat back our adversaries overseas. Why he's considering another cunning attempt to lower pump prices? Yeah, they're basically saying that this is all driven by his desire to increase his poll numbers. That ain't gonna happen. I've spoken to so many people who are diehard Democrats and basically bent over backwards to support this guy, and they're done, okay? And these are hardcore Democrats from demographics like the black community that you would expect to be behind the Democrats and have been behind the Democrats. I don't know why, but because most black people are conservative in terms of the way they live their lives, okay? But for whatever reason, we just don't vote that way, okay? We vote for the Democrats. We can go in. That's a whole nother video. I can tell you why that happens. You probably understand it already. But in any event, we're all in the same boat, whether you're black, white, gay, straight, new to the country, or been here for generations. We're all experiencing a financial challenge right now, but we can navigate it. Stormy seas, that's what we do here at Money Changes Everything. So don't panic. If you can, I'm not going to go out there and lock in losses. All right. If the company was good enough to own a year ago, do your fundamental analysis. May prove to you whether or not it's still, a viable investment. But that's all we got for today, guys. I'll talk to you soon. To learn more about how you can achieve financial independence, check out these videos we recently posted on the Money Changes Everything channel.